father Jim and my mother Deb over there. And then this is my little boy, he's 2, and this is my nephew Jones. He's or Leo, he lives right over there in the house. So welcome to our farm. We are a 5th generation farm that's farmed for probably about 170 years now on this site.
Started in 1857.
Yeah, so about 100, however long that would be, 170 years. Yeah.
You are the 5th, or your dad is the 5th?
He's a
You're the
5th.
5th. You are
I'm
the
the
6th.
6th, and hopefully a 7th. Hopefully a 7th.
That's the sustainability, huh?
Yeah. We graze corn and soybeans primarily. We do have some beef cattle over there, but just kind of a small herd, nothing too crazy. And I farm full time with my father and mother.
Let me interpret.
Yep.
Okay. 那么大家好，欢迎来到我们Matt 农场啊。那么他就是 Matt 本人。那么这是我父亲 Jim， 那边是我母亲Debra。那么这边是我的那个侄子 Joe， 那这是我儿子。那么我父亲呢其实是第5代农民，他是第6代。那希望他们俩有机会能成为下一代农民啊。那我们这个农场呢是从1857年就是开始运营的，那么到现在也应该是170多年的历史了。我这边种玉米和大豆，那么也有养一点点牛。那么我跟我父母是全职务农的。
And please ask any questions you guys have. I mean, we're kind of an open book, so you guys ask any questions. So I'm just going to kind of go through maybe the growing season where we're at right now. So right now we're kind of wrapping up our growing season. We're going to start harvest here in probably a month and a half. We're going to pick our soybeans first and then go to our corn. And we plant normally in April to May is our planting period, and we'll harvest starting about October 1st through November 30th.
那么这边的话呢，就是我们现在呢，其实还是在大豆的生长季。那么大概还有1个月到1个半月，我们就准备要开始收割了。那么收割的话呢，这边先收大豆，再收玉米。那么我们种植期的话，基本上从4月到5月。那么然后整个收割的话呢，可能一般持续到11月底。
Once we get done harvesting in November, with our climate, we freeze pretty hard throughout the winter, so the ground will sit fallow basically from end of November all the way through April. So it's snow, we don't touch the ground, it gets frozen, and we don't do anything. Most of our grain here will either go to an ethanol plant with the corn, and the beans, a lot of it will go to a soy processing plant over in Mankato, Minnesota, where they'll make soy oil and soybean meal of it.
Is that a CHS?
CHS or ADM, or we're also about an hour away from the export terminals, so it'll get shipped on barges down to the Gulf of Mexico, and then, the Gulf of Mexico, and then exported to wherever it might need to go.
OK， 那么这边的话呢，就是我们因为11月收了以后呢，那么我们那个时候就已经进入冬季了。那么从11月到来年4月，我们这边是因为特别冷，所以整个地是冻的会比较厉害。那我这边收上来的玉米的话，会送到附近的这个乙醇厂。那么我的大豆呢，这附近在这个 Mankato 这个地方呢，有 CHS 和 ADM 的油厂。那么我也可以把它送到这个附近有一个出口码头。那么这个出口码头的话，就会送到美湾，那么就可以出口到全世界了。
So our operation, we farm about 2,000 hectares. If we're going to talk in hectares.
How many acres?
About 4,000 acres.
4,000.
And the average yields we see, so corn will usually yield somewhere between 200 to 220 bushel to the acre.
200 to 208.
200, just call it 200 bushel to the acre. Just 200 bushel to the acre.
200 bushels.
Yeah, I don't know the conversion. And then
bushels. Okay.
soybeans, if we get a 60 bushel yield on soybeans, that's pretty good for us.
那我这边的话呢是地的话有2000公顷，那么4000英亩。那么我的玉米单产呢一般是292。大豆的话，如果能达到60，我认为是相当好了。So how do we predict this year's soybean and the corn yield? That's this year's yield.
Yeah, hopefully this year we got a really large amount of rain.
Yes.
We were very wet early on, so I think that should be pretty close this year.
OK. 那我问他，我说你刚刚说的这个单产今年能够达到吗？ 今年的话确实雨水非常多，非常潮湿。他觉得可能吧，应该会接近这个安全水平。
And then another thing about our farm, so we raise a lot of conventional crops. So our corn, we're about 90% of the acres are conventional corn. And then we used to raise non-GMO soybeans as well too. Kind of went away from non-GMO soybeans because of the weeds. We can't control weed pressure.
OK， 那么他这边的话呢，基本上只种的都是那个转的那个玉米和大豆。然后的话，以前还种过那个非转的大豆，但是现在不种了，因为那个杂草的压力太大了。
Conventional corn, what do you mean by conventional?
No, so we can't use Roundup.
No G.
No, non-GMO.
non-GMO
Non-GMO.
convention 就是说是常规的品种，不是生物技术的。以前呢种大豆呢也有种一些非转的，现在种的就不是这个非转。
那 convention 指的是南GMO。
So 95% of your corn is conventional?
Yeah, non-GMO. Yep.
Yeah. Where did it go to?
So there's kind of some markets that will go down to, they actually is put on a barge, and I believe, I don't know exactly, I think Japan maybe it goes to. I don't know exactly where it goes to.
Is it contract farming?
Yeah, so we get a little premium to doing non-GMO or conventional, so we do get a premium. Some years the premium's good, and some years the premium, we just sell it as normal feedstock. It just depends on the year and kind of what they're paying.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. And the beans, you can get a pretty good premium for beans.
So for your corn, it's conventional corn.
Yep, non-GMO corn.
Okay.
Yep.
So how about the soybean is commodity?
Yes. Soybeans now is commodity. We used to do non-GMO, but we had so many issues controlling our weeds that we went away from it.
Okay. And so you mean your corn was maybe contracted usually to the nearby barge,
Yep.
right? Okay.
The export facilities. Yep.
那么这样的就是它的那个玉米的话呢，可能主要还是这个就是非转的玉米。然后呢，大豆的话以前种过就是非转大豆，那么后来打扫压力太大，现在大豆基本上都是这个转的大豆。那么它的玉米呢，主要是运到这个附近的这个国船那边。那么它运往哪里？那它不是特别确定的，可能是日本啊或者什么其他一些地方。那么一般这个卖出去的这个玉米呢，有的时候呢或者是一价，有的时候一价可能一般。
Do they have any questions for us?
好，那么讲到目前为止，大家有什么问题吗？就欢迎大家提出任何问题。他刚才说的那个玉米，不是送到附近的饼工厂也出口是吗？哦。
一般是
So about the corn, you mentioned it was sent to the nearby ethanol plant. So is that also exported?
No, a lot of that's used domestically. So a lot of it, when we bring it to the ethanol plant, it'll get converted to a DDG product, which is fed to local beef producers and animal users.
To local animal producers.
Animal producers for feedstock.
Yes, yes.
And then the ethanol is basically sent to blenders throughout the U.S.
Yes.
Whoever needs it, it'll be blended into our gasoline.
Okay. 那
Some
么
of it might be.
它
Some
这
of it
个
maybe.
乙醇厂呢，基本上是用美国国内的这个
When you bring any corn to the ethanol
那么
plant,
比
they
如
need
说
to ever export
接下来再
it.
生产出这个第一季，那么用美国内的这个养殖，那么它的那个乙醇的部分呢，就用于掺混，那么用于生产这个Okay, so how big is your inventory on the farm?
How big is our inventory?
Yes.
Actually, we can go see that. We can store about 700,000 bushels on the farm.
Okay.
Yeah, about 700,000 bushels on the farm. And that's at a different location about 3 miles away, which we can go see.
Okay. 他说那个仓储的话呢，离这里3英里，那么差不多是4.8公里，能存70万步式。大家愿意看的话，我可以带大家去看。70万普式除以36.74，
2万吨吧
2万不到啊。
2万吨吧，
对对。
就是70除上35是2。
And I'll just put a plug in. We love it when China buys our soybeans and especially our corn. We need all the export help we can get. So I mean, you know, when you guys are in here buying our soybeans, it helps us out greatly, and we appreciate it.
那么就是也是非常感谢各位买家，那么就是采购我们美国大豆，那么 尤其是今年吧，可能就是也出口的压力会比较大一些。
So you mentioned you have a storage capacity. Now it's empty or?
Yep. So everything's gone right now. So we hauled everything out about 2 months ago. Got rid of it all. Just kind of to empty out before harvest because we need to be empty going into harvest so we can store everything.
Store bean or corn?
We store both corn and beans. We will this year because there's carry in the market. So we're getting paid to store it. So we're gonna probably store it until December, January, because that's a really slow time of year for us. We have, we're not harvesting, we're not planting, so we kind of sit in semis a lot during the winter and haul it.
那么就是他问他就是他那边的这个仓储，现在目前是比较满的还是什么状态？而他是2个月前就已经把它全部清空了，那么就是为这个收割这个做准备。那么问他是准备存什么呢？大豆还是米还是 both？ 就是2个都会存。为什么他们还是比较看好接下来市场可能是价格是上涨？
目前来讲是一个这个
carry 的市场。
carry market，所以呢，它是仓储还是有个乱的。carry market。
我们上次他那个 Citrus 收购站，它近月是更贵的，它是近月是 premium， 然后远月是更。
近月它是指的是 old crop。他现在是为了做的这个 new crop， 他从 new crop， 因为 new crop 还是 carry market。
应该是的，它的价格是最便宜的。
它现在没有 old crop 了 ，empty 了。
对对。
地里还长着呢，马上就收了。
I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
We noticed that Minnesota, the soybean yield in Minnesota looks relative higher.
Yep.
Like over 60.
Yep.
Yeah. What makes that happen? I mean, why?
I mean, honestly,
I will translate that. 我的问题是说，我们注意到明尼苏达州的这个大豆的单产啊，都在60甚至以上，就是好像比别的州都要高一些。我说他们是怎么能够实现这么高的单产？
They have good farmers.
I like that.
农民技术好，农民厉害。
This guy.
Yeah.
Very good farmers, definitely.
It's going to be a really simple question and answer, but it's all the rain in the right time. So if we get rain in the month of August, that is the biggest effect we can have on our soybeans, which we had a lot of rain, or we've had to have a lot of rain in the month of August. So that's the biggest benefit we can do. I mean, and we can't control the rain, but we just got fortunate this year we had so much rain in the month of August that it's really helped out our soybeans. So yeah, the soybeans do look very good this year.
Yeah.
So.
On your farm.
Yep, on our farm. Yep. Our corn, not so much, but the soybeans look very good this year, which is nice.
Yeah.
Just too much water for the corn this year.
Yeah.
Too much rain.
But is there any differences between seeds, like when you choose this type of seeds or that type of seed that makes the yield different as well?
Between the states, like Minnesota versus Iowa, you're saying versus Nebraska?
You're talking about
Oh, the type of seed.
variety.
Type of seeds, yeah.
Depends who you talk to. Yes and no. Yes and no.
Sure it does.
We probably buy from 5 different seed companies on our farm.
different.
Seed companies.
Wow.
Yep. And there is a difference. Some companies have really good soybeans, for example, and the other company might have really good corn numbers. So we're not by any means an expert on it, but we kind of spread out our risk and buy from a couple different ones and try to pick the best from each one of them. And hopefully you can kind of get a respectable yield out of each one of them is our strategy, I guess.
Different maturities and.
Right.
Yeah, also I noticed that your harvest time is between October 1 to November, end of November. So
Yep.
you have a very long maturity time.
Yep.
What is the consideration in that?
Well, so being in Minnesota, we're actually a little bit on the northern end of the kind of the good growing region. So if you would go to like in Iowa, for example, central Iowa, they can probably get another 20 days out of their growing season than what we can up here, just because we farther north and we don't get the heat. And even as you go farther south, you get more growing degree days. So our average corn maturity is probably like 105 day is what it's rated for. If you go down to Iowa and talk to a farmer down there, they're probably looking at like 110 to 115. Probably close to 115. So I mean, we're kind of on the northern end, so we're kind of capped on how much heat we can get throughout a year too.
But Iowa is more south, but it takes longer for their corn to grow.
Yep, but they can plant earlier
Oh.
because we plant depending on the year. Call it May 1st. They're just a little farther south, which gets warmer. They get warmer faster and quicker.
I had thought for warmer places usually it's shorter
冷
No
的要
你的
真正
种植期越短，你的成熟期就越短，
对。
是吧？越北边的，
就我刚才问的问题呢，就是说
它的成熟度一
这个种
定要短的。
它这个种子选择有没有对它的单产有没有一些影响？那他的回答呢，就是说这个种子公司。有一些公司呢，可能玉米种子做得更好，有些公司呢大豆种子做得更好。那他家呢是大豆方面，他是选了5个种子公司的种子，他是为了平衡它的一些为了分散它的一些风险。那么在这个种子里头呢，他们也是尽量每个公司呢选比较好的这个种子。那然后呢，关于这个生长期的话呢，因为他们这边比较冷，天气比较冷，所以它的这个一般它的这个平均的生产期是105天。那他们就是比阿尔瓦州的这个生产期要短一些啊，所以他们这个把这个成熟期，他们种了晚，所以它的这个有种了各个不同成熟期的这个品种，
I gave them
所以它的收获时间是2年。
Oh, that is nice. That was perfect timing.
throughout the United States.
Yes, that's very good.
刚才那哥们儿。
So for your corn and soybean, is it half half?
Yes, we're 50-50.
星座它是从 Care Market 的，他们卖预售的。
Okay, so how much have you marketed your soybean new crops?
I wish I was more. Whatever. 20, we're about 30% sold for new crop soybeans, and we're about 60% sold for new crop corn.
他新做的大豆已经卖了30%，他当然希望他卖的更多一点啊。玉米的话60%到60%。
Because your corn is customized.
Well, you know, I don't know why we are that way, but it was easier to sell corn because of our break even. Beans, you know, the first of the year was the high price for beans, and ever since then it's just kind of been slowly going down. It's hard to sell when it's going down, so we didn't get as much sold as what we wanted to. So.
Okay, so now a question about so how about the revenue you get from corn and soybean? What's its ratio?
Oh man. So corn, we're probably looking at about $1,200 an acre gross, and then beans $1,200 an acre gross.
1,200.
That's gross. That's not net.
我反应过来，1,200 dollars.
Right. And then beans, we're looking at 700.
Maybe.
About $700. So
Per
our
acre.
yeah per acre. So our corn is going to be more profitable probably. I shouldn't.
Yeah.
Our corn is historically more profitable for us than
So I mean
soybeans.
corn is every acre 1,200.
Yes, gross.
Okay.
But as a whole, our corn, we usually can make more money growing corn than we can soybeans.
Yeah. So that means since you are 50-50, that means
If the
帮他算账，是审计署的。
Yeah, 1,200 high. Probably
okay. So
close to
means
1,000.
corn, you are 1.7 times of soybean from revenue side.
Oh, sure. You can figure out
那
that
就
way.
是
what's
那就是
your
他是
break-even
说他的
point of
1.5
corn?
的玉米的话，差不多能赚1200美金
Faribault.，
然后大豆的话，差不多能赚700美金。那么收益就是
430 a bushel.
因为它是面积是一
So
样的嘛。
corn's more profitable this year for us than beans are.
对。
Unless we can get a really big soybean yield, then it'll be profitable for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the break-even for bean?
Oh boy.
Okay.
10.
Then,
10.
Yeah, for this just now 1,200 and the 700, is it net revenue?
Gross revenue.
Gross. I wish it was net. That'd be perfect if it was net. That's gross.
Okay. Also about why you choose 50 soybean, 50 corn instead of other ratio?
Yep. The main reason there is because of insect pressure and weed pressure. When we rotate crops, we get extra nitrogen from our soybeans.
Rotation, right?
Yep. And then we don't have basically the insect pressure and diseases we will on our corn. There are a lot of farmers will go heavier corn, so it's like more of a 2/3 corn, 1/3 soybeans. Is what a lot of farmers in the area will do. We just kind of found it a 50-50 mix is a better rotation for our farm.
Just now you meant what kind of pesticide?
A lot of rootworm.
根虫，玉米根虫。
So The pest is from the corn side, right?
Yeah, well, the bugs are more the corn side of it. So yeah, you'll see rootworm. What other issues will we see with carryover from insects?
OK，那么它为什么说50%的大概原因，主要还是因为的话就是虫害和杂草的压力。那么就是如果通过50%的话，因为玉米它那个有一些相关的虫害，那么如果通过轮作的话，是能够很好的减少虫害。
Today is
阻断这个
病的虫害。不是，
玉米是虫，玉米跟虫的
玉米
这个
的虫不是大豆，大豆的虫不是玉米。这俩病一定通过这个，一阻断了之后呢，玉米的病不会到大豆上。
就是即使你的玉米这个收益再高，但你不能这个
一直种，
一直种，
它
每年就要种。
他们家附近有很
不是玉米，是大豆，不能老种。什么东北一直说引茬的问题嘛，就东北一直连续种，它就单产价。这边呢就是玉米可以连续种，
玉米可以连续，
大豆不可以。
对，但他们家呢，
为什么玉米可以
觉
连续种
得
呢？那你这样不是有
他们家
虫的问题吗？
不，
玉米能连续种，因为它玉米收益高啊，它每用不是1200。
因为是肥料，
那对不起，
注意啊，有的农场说我不是50%，
对，
我是60的玉米是那60那40%怎么来的？连续来的呀，明白了吗？那连续来的，
什么叫连续？
连续两年种。Anyway, this is internal discussion about your rotation.
Yep.
Can we explain a couple things about the price then? So we can forward sell our crop a couple years forward.
A couple of years. Okay.
Yes. So we actually have 3 years to sell a crop. And this crop this year, the stuff that we sold 2 years ago, we were over $6. I think our best contract out there is $6.25. And then from there, it's been going down, and to sell it today, we'd be about $3.75.
that's corn, right?
Yep,
Yeah, that's for corn, sure.
per bushel.
That's a beautiful
那么就
price
是他说
indeed.
他卖的话
Well,
呢，
that's why it's hard to sell in this down market because,
那
and
就
that's
是
where we're mad at ourselves for not selling more earlier. And kind of the same with the bean market. We could have been up around $14 a bushel.
yes。
And now the beans are 10 and a half, 9
$9
something.
cash.
那么就是他们这边销售的话，有的时候是可以提前2年什么都就做远月的销售的。那你看这些人啊，
2-3年，
远年了，
对，不是远月，远年。对。然后你看当年他卖的时候，那玉米最好价格6块2毛5啊，你看现在只有3块7毛5。那大豆的话，如果他当年可以卖到14块，那现在只有9块5。
他3年前的合同锁定的价格是6块多玉米，然后有些合同锁定大豆合同锁定在4块多，所以他当时就赚了些钱。那
But
现
what you
在
mentioned about your corn is conventional corn is on contract, right? So you receive some premium. So that $6 corn, that's all inclusive premium plus
The premium would be over and above.
over. So what's the premium level?
20 cents to a dollar.
20 cents to the dollar.
Depends upon what the market
I got you.
puts out at.
所以那个时候3年前啊，玉米的远年的这个价格是6块钱，同时呢，他种这个常规玉米的话呢，还能得到4毛到1块钱的这个溢价，在这个基础上
20分的
，40 to $1.
20 cents。
Yeah.
Oh, wait,
20 cents
20 cents a bushel.
20 cents a
Yeah.
bushel.
to $1.
$1。
No, that's really high. 20 cents would be about cap for corn. That'd be about most.
That's the premium for the conventional corn.
Yep. And you got to remember too. So we're at the last stop in the river system. Savage is the last stop they can bring barges to. So they prefer. We're probably the lowest premium in the entire river system. So as you get farther south, their barge freight so it's cheaper to get it to the Gulf. So they'll pay higher premiums in the southern U.S. than they will up here.
Okay. Oh, because the budget freight, they add up the budget freight to
This is the last spot.
to your point.
Yep.
Okay.
费用就低一些，它得到的 basic 就低一些，成本低一些，标准能力就高一些。
Yeah, just a
但他没有种，
只有飞转才有溢价。
标准的羊毛出在羊身上。
就是跟市场一样。
How much you have sold for soybean new crop this year?
About 30%.
30%.
Yep.
Last year or 5-year average should be 50%.
No, this is probably low. We'd probably be closer to 50% for a 3-year average. So we're undersold for new crop coming in. So I wish we were higher, but it's just, that's how it worked out. Right, price kept going down, so it's hard to sell when the market just keeps going down and down. So you always are optimistic it's going to go higher, and it just never does. So. About 30% for beans, and we're about 60% for corn.
So at the $6.14.
Well, no, it's probably lower than that. So our average sale is maybe $4.50 for new crop corn. Yeah, because we got our first sales were 6 and our last sales were probably 4. So we, I wish I would have sold it all for 6, but it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So
So we noticed that your farm is sustainability certified.
Yep.
Yeah, so what kind of aspects they need to review on your farm
Yep.
to get this certification?
So a lot of it's fertilizer usage or nitrogen usage.
Fertilizer, it should be nitrogen.
Yep. So nitrogen is the big one they really look at there for sustainability. The U.S. is big on basically nitrates running in water. They want to prevent any nitrates running down our water system. So they come and look at our fertility usage, our tillage practices as well. So they want less tillage, better is what they want.
Yes.
And then also kind of your conservation work. So basically, how much dirt, how much erosion are you having?
Yes.
So those are the 3 main things they're really looking at. So they want to lower nitrogen rate, less tillage, and just more filter strips and buffers to prevent erosion.
And all of the land that we operate or farm is certified as clean water.
Yes.
So,
We learned that from
它是这样的，主要是有3个方面啊
Yeah.。
那么一个呢，就是说，就是农场用的那个
Yes.
氮肥，
Oh, you learned?
氮
Okay,
肥
yep.
要偏少一点。那么这是一个比较大的重要。为什么说氮肥呢？关注氮肥呢？因为你氮肥施的过多的话，氮肥会流到附近的水系里，那么会影响当地的那个水质。那么第二个的话，就是希望那耕作越少越好。那么因为美国很多是免耕的，那么越少的工作的话，越少的耕种的话，我认为也是就是一个对土壤的打扰少，另外一个减少那个土地的侵蚀，对，减少那个燃料的使用啊。那么第3个的话就是这个水土保持吧。那么通过各种隔离带啊，什么呀？那么就是保护我们当地的这个水土资源。
有过滤带、有管送带这几个地方都可以把过多的那些营养物质
可以留在农田
地里，
就减少那个农药，减少这个化肥的这个损失。那么另外的话，他老爸说，那么同时我们这里经过就是干净水源的这样的一个认证。
昨天不是在局里头，局里头
对，明尼苏达他对水质有一个认证的嘛，他们也通过了这个。
姐夫说的。
对，姐夫说的。
4个方面。
没有，我们这个是3个。
3个方面，这个这个干净水的人，它是另外一种认证。
对，
明白了。
So, if I understand this right, these are all buyers from different companies. So, for example, we would have, all within 50 miles of here, we'd have a Cargill,
Yes.
a Bunge, ADM, CHS, CGB, and I think that's it, isn't it? Of the main exporters.
That's the main ones.
Yep. So we'd have all them within 50 miles of our farm here.
We're so fortunate to have so
It
many.
is.
Yeah.
They're all in the southern part of the Twin Cities, but yes, it is very nice because you can kind of bid from each one of them.
How far is your farm from here to the Savage? The Savage is the first lockdown.
Yep. So that's where most of our corn goes to. It's 50 miles.
It's 50 miles.
50
so
miles.
You sell to
Yep.
the
So they
Savage
all
elevator?
locate in Savage.
Most of them. They're basically on the southern part of the Twin Cities. So some are like 3 or 4 of them are in Savage. I think ADM and Gavilon would be more in St. Paul.
那么就是它这边呢，离这里往南50英里的地方，那么有好多油厂，这5个吧，嘉吉、邦基、ADM、CHS、CGB， 啊。那么
是油厂还是收购站？
are they elevators or are they crushing plants?
Those are all exporter elevators.
Elevators.
And
Export elevators.
and there's some crush facilities too, but all of them are exporters on barges, river barges.
So they are all export elevators. No, I think for the like CHS, in the Savage ones, I think they are terminals. Right?
Well, there's terminals in Mankato, but they also have an export facility up in Savage, in St. Paul, or up in Savage. They have an export facility as well too. So they have 2 of them within pretty close to us.
那边既有收购站，也有这种出口的这种出口导向的这个厂。
That's kind of the end of the Mississippi up there,
Yeah, yeah.
as far as traffic, carbon traffic.
Actually, I think Kim's got a picture of exactly what we're talking
Crappie
about.
是什么东西
Here, I think it'll help if you point.
？Crappie 是什么东西？
Oh yeah.
But anyway, this farm is very blessed. As you heard, depending on the price offered, their soybeans can either go down the Mississippi
Yes.
and over to China,
Yes.
or rarely can go out on this BNSF railway all the way to Seattle and the PNW and then to China.
Okay.
And it all depends on who's competitive. And so they have the wonderful situation of being able to haul to the river when it's most economical, or to this railroad. There's a unit train loading facility 40 miles north of here at Randolph. And it often cannot compete with the local processors. So they will offer a higher price. And then in China, then you'll be instead perhaps buying soybeans from the North Dakota area, North Dakota and South Dakota. And you know, he was talking about the yield, and it's so dependent on rain. I'm a North Dakota native, for instance.
Okay.
So on Monday, you'll be in North Dakota.
Yeah. Will you
And
be
then-
there? No.
Pardon?
You want to be there, right?
I won't be there. But anyway, somebody from North Dakota soybean. I'm from Minnesota